Hi viewers, it's me Satya from Shutterpix.in. Today we are going to see what is guide number in flash units, how it could effectively replace a light meter, as well as how brands are misleading us with these numbers. Let's get started. Guide number is the way to represent power of a flash unit. Actually, it is product of aperture and the distance between the subject and the light. An example scenario will make it easy to understand. Let's look at this. Let's say we have our subject here, camera is positioned here, and our light flash unit is placed here. And from the specification of this flash unit, we know its guide number is 80. Let's assume the value is 80 now. And then we want to shoot the subject at an aperture of f8.0. Okay, now the question is how far away I should place the light from the subject. We know the equation guide number is product of aperture and the distance between the subject and the light. In our case, guide number is 80, aperture is 8, and D should be 10. So we should place a light at a distance of 10 meters from the subject. And let's say in another example, we want to shoot the subject with an aperture of f16. Then we should place the light at a distance of 5 meters. We have to move the light closer and bring it here. Okay, so what happens in the second example? We place a light at 7-meter distance. Then the subject would be underexposed because there is no enough intensity of light to illuminate the subject. It would be underexposed. What happens if we move the light closer than 5 meter? Let's say we place at 3-meter distance. Then the subject would be overexposed. Definitely there would be a lot more light over illuminating the subject, and it would be overexposed. So using this expression, we could get the distance at which we get proper exposure. So theoretically it could replace a light meter. Let's see how. During a shoot setup, we know the distance, we know the guide number. From that, aperture could be figured out. We know D and we want to figure out F. So that is what a light meter does. Like light meter says how much stop a specific point in the subject is exposed, and here, like, to get a proper exposure, we have to uh, we could figure out the f value at which we get proper exposure, and from there on you can either increase or decrease, adjust your camera to get the right exposure that you want. Let's say you have a fill light and backlight at 1 or 2 stops below the key light, then you could do that. You could use this expression, find the f and set a f accordingly as per your wish. So theoretically it could replace a light meter, but for all practical purpose, light meter is more convenient. At the beginning, I mentioned guide number is one way to represent the power of the flash unit. So higher the number, better it is. So if you're buying a flash, try to buy one with a larger guide number. Brands use this fact and then try to trick us to buy their flash by reporting an higher guide number for the same flash unit. How they do? Let's see how it is. Let's say your flash have a zoom functionality. You could narrow down the beam. Let's say it can go from 24 mm to 90 mm. At 24 mm, the beam would be much more diffused and it cover a larger area. It illuminate a larger area. In that case, intensity would be less. The distance should also be, the light should be brought closer to the subject to get a proper illumination, and hence its guide number would reduce. If the same flash unit is operated with a zoomed in point, let's say it is operated at 90 mm point, light is narrowed down to a very small region, illuminating, creating a strong illumination, and it's like, because of this, the light could be moved farther away, increasing the guide number. So flash manufacturer always report guide number at most narrowed down point of their flash. Either it is zoom functionality or any other aid or focusing mechanism they have, they always report at this point so that their number looks bigger and then people are like tricked to buy them. Okay, there could be chances that two flash units from two different manufacturer have same power, everything is same, but the way in which they reported guide number could be different, and it's like one guide number could be lesser compared to the other. But technically speaking, they may produce the same light and so on. So while buying, not only look at the guide number, look at other aspects of the power. Let's say how many watt it could produce, and how much diffusion it is creating and so on. By now you should have a question. So far we were discussing only about aperture in the exposure, and then distance between the light and then subject. Why not other variables in the exposure triangle? We'll start with shutter speed. This is a flash photography. Flash duration is much shorter than the shutter duration, and then shutter speed doesn't have an impact on the exposure. As well as longer shutter collects the ambient light, it have a different impact but not the effect from the flash. And will ISO have an impact here? Yes, absolutely. ISO have an impact. And then while reporting the guide number, brands specify at what ISO they did the measurement. So Godox generally say 100 M. This 100 represent the measurement reporting everything happened at an ISO of 100. And when you are doing, like, you should also consider using an ISO of 100. And then M represent distance should be measured in meters. Some countries measure distance in terms of feet, yard, and so on. Those units are not used. You should use a numbers, distance numbers in the unit of meters. And while reporting the guide number, the flash is always operated at the full power. At of 1/4, 1/8 power, it have a different number, and then like you could adjust accordingly. Hope you learned something new and found this video useful. If so, give a like and subscribe to see many such videos. If you have any questions or thought about guide numbers or around flash, share them in the comments. I will have a look. See you in another video. Bye.